The Death of Ivan Ilyich by Leo Tolstoy, Chapter 9. His wife came back late at night. She came in on tiptoe, but he heard her. He opened his eyes and quickly shut them again. She wanted to send Gerasim away and sit with him herself. He opened his eyes and said, "No. Go." "Are you in much pain?" "It doesn't matter. Take some opium." He agreed and drank it. She left. Until about 3 a.m, he lay in an agonizing half-sleep. It seemed to him that he was being forced, painfully, into a narrow black sack, a deep one, pushed further and further in, and never through. And this thing being done to him was terrible, and it was done with suffering. And he was afraid, and at the same time wanted to fall through. He fought against it, and he helped. And then suddenly he tore loose and fell, and came to. Gerasim was still there, sitting at the foot of the bed, dozing quietly, patiently, and he himself lay with his wasted legs and their stockings resting on Gerasim's shoulders, the same candle with its shade, and the same unending pain. "Go, Gerasim," he whispered. "It's all right, sir. I'll sit a while." "No, go." He took his legs down, lay on his side with his arm under him, and began to feel sorry for himself. He waited only until Gerasim had gone into the next room, and then he held back no longer and cried like a child. He cried over his helplessness, over his terrible loneliness, over the cruelty of people, over the cruelty of God, over the absence of God. "Why have you done all this? Why did you bring me here? Why do you torture me so horribly?" He expected no answer, and he cried because there was no answer, and could be none. The pain rose again, but he didn't move, didn't call anyone. He said to himself, "Go on then, hit me again, but what for? What have I done to you? What for?" Then he grew still. He stopped crying, he stopped breathing, and he became all attention, as if he were listening, not to a voice speaking in sounds, but to the voice of his soul, to the current of thoughts rising inside him. "What do you need?" That was the first clear thought he heard, the first that could be put into words. "What do you need? What do you need?" he repeated to himself. "What? Not to suffer, to live," he answered. And again he gave himself over to attention, so intense that even the pain could not distract him. "To live? Live how?" asked the voice of his soul. "Yes, to live the way I lived before, well, pleasantly." "The way you lived before, well and pleasantly?" asked the voice. And he began going back in his mind, through the best moments of his pleasant life. But strangely, all those best moments of his pleasant life now seemed nothing like what they had seemed then. All of them, except the earliest memories of childhood. There in childhood, there had been something truly good, something a person could live on if it ever came back. But the person who had felt that goodness no longer existed. It was like remembering somebody else. As soon as the years began that had made him what he was now, this Ivan Ilyich, everything that had seemed a joy back then melted away before his eyes and turned into something worthless and often disgusting. And the further from childhood, the closer to the present, the emptier and more doubtful the joys became. It started with law school. There was still something genuinely good there. There was fun, there was friendship, there was hope. But in the upper classes, those good moments already came more rarely. Then, during his first post under the governor, good moments appeared again. Memories of love for a woman. Then it all blurred together, and there was less of the good. Further on, less still, and the further he went, the less there was. Marriage, so sudden, and the disappointment, and the smell of his wife's breath, and the sensuality, the pretense, and that dead work, and the worrying about money. A year of it, then 2, then 10, then 20, and always the same. And the further it went, the more dead it all was. It was exactly as if I had been walking downhill, steadily, all the while imagining I was climbing. And that's how it was. In everyone's eyes I was climbing, and exactly that fast. Life was slipping away from under me. And now it's done. Time to die. So what is this? Why? It can't be. It can't be that life was that senseless, that ugly. And if it really was that ugly and senseless, then why die, and die in pain? Something is wrong. Maybe I didn't live the way I should have. The thought would come to him suddenly. But how can that be, when I did everything the right way? He told himself, and at once he drove away this one and only answer to the whole riddle of life and death, as something completely impossible. So what do you want now? To live? Live how? Live the way you live in court, When the usher calls out, "The court is coming, the court is coming, here comes the court," he repeated to himself. "Here it is, the court, but I'm not guilty," he cried out in anger. "What for?" And he stopped crying, and turning his face to the wall, he thought about one thing and one thing only. Why, for what, all this horror? But however long he thought, he found no answer, and whenever the thought came to him, as it often did, that all this was happening because he had not lived right, he immediately remembered how correct his whole life had been.